Welcome to this week's Mates, Movies and Malts. At some point I'm going to get that podcast name right first time and not stumble over it or trip over it or anything like that.
6 weeks in.
We're 6 weeks in. How are we feeling, guys? We good this week?
I feel good. Man. Feel really
good.
It's nearly Friday.
It's nearly Friday. It's Friday tomorrow.
Fuck.
No, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. We've got a wee overnight away planned tomorrow. You guys got up much on the weekend?
We managed to get a football game. That's about it.
Nice. Rock and roll.
See Wicked. Violet's getting picked up for nursery at 4 o'clock and I won't see her until 12 o'clock Saturday.
Yes. I mean, you love her.
I love her a bit, man. I love her even more when she's away.
So, those of you who are avid Mates, Movies and Malts viewers, well, maybe I'll notice that we're at a bit of a different setup today. We've got a different table. We are on location round the corner. I'm finding it a little bit different because it's a straight table, guys. So when I'm talking to you, I'm like there. And I'm like there. I wish I hadn't gone in the middle this week.
I know. It's also a wee bit weird because I can't see Jordan.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lean back a little bit, but I'm going to take my mic with me because the pod mother keeps admonishing me for the sound issues that we've been having. Speaking of which, we identified a sound issue on this week's episode, which is going out tomorrow. So look out for the bit on the screen that just says the sound will return in a few minutes. So yeah, all these issues and stuff like that, they could potentially make one cry, which is the very, very tenuous link this week to our topic.
Such a seamless transition into the topic.
I'm liking the segues. I quite enjoy them, and I think they're good.
They're smooth, mate.
They are really smooth.
I mean, that has always been me, to be fair, hasn't it? Big smooth Pete. Seamless segues aside, right? Which obviously I'm getting pretty good at these tenuous links. We've gone week after the pod, on the pod even. Tonight's going to be bad for my old command over the English language, guys. I'll apologise in advance. So you're still going to need to keep the side up. So as I'd said a few minutes ago, on the first take of this, Jordan, we have talked on it and we've made the joke loads of times, but we've never on an episode that's been released yet actually talked about why it was that you decided to start the pod. So give the guys at home, all 7 of them, a little bit of insight as to why we've ended up doing this every week.
So I suppose the biggest reason why we've done it mainly was to see each other more, which effectively would have an impact on all of our mental health. So we've all been through some shit in our lives. We've had a kind of turbulent few years, and I just thought it was about time we started doing some stuff more regularly, seeing each other more regularly, having a bit of a laugh. Like, I look forward to this every week when we do it as well.
Me too.
Any weeks that we can't do it, I do miss it, and you kind of feel that. I wish I was with the boys tonight, recording and stuff, and a bit of laugh and stuff. But I suppose the biggest reason was to do with our mental health, and boys get sad too, and that's all right.
There's a band that seems to be doing quite
Boys
a lot of this now, isn't it? Is that what it's called? Boys Get Sad Too. I didn't know if it was just a slogan from a different brand or if that was the actual brand. But no, it's very, very true, and I think so on a day-to-day basis, from a work point of view, I talk about mental health in the workplace quite a lot and stuff like that, and you can't go a day without hearing pretty horrible stuff, right? And I still do think that there is still a bit of a stigma attached to it, especially where men are concerned. Now, I personally have never been one to shy away from the occasional tear, right? I do enjoy a good greet and stuff like that. It doesn't take a lot to make me cry, as we will discuss in this episode, because this week's episode is about tear jerkers. That's things that make you cry.
That's not just masturbating while you're crying.
No, that's crymaxing. So, Stefan, anything you'd like to add on the mental health thing before we get started?
I think you've both covered it pretty well.
I thought you were just going to go,
no. I should have. I would have been better. I'm doing all right. I'm white knuckling it through life. I think we've, as you both already said, we've all struggled at one time or another, and the great thing is we've always had each other to get us through those kind of tough times. But enough of that. Let's just go into more
geeky
fun stuff. Yeah, the geeky stuff. That's why we're here.
I'm with you, man. I mean, it's been an emotional week in the Murray household actually, because we're having to get one of our wee bunnies put to sleep tomorrow. And about 4 times this week I've cried about it. I know.
Of course,
Rosie, the wee one that's had her wee difficulties and stuff. So it's her time.
I feel we got it.
So I will, man, and that's like Kirsten keeps crying about it and everything. It's been an emotional week. And I just thought it was a good time for us to chat about it. I have noticed a significant difference since we started doing this and how I'm feeling week to week. I do look forward to it.
Yeah.
And I think that's just as daft as it sounds, and you've spoken about it before, we just weren't seeing each other. We were still best mates. When we saw each other, it was brilliant, as it always was. We were talking WhatsApp every day and whatever else, but we just weren't seeing each other at all.
I know. And it was that thing of we could go like genuinely months without seeing each other, and then when we would hang out, it was like you saw each other the day before, and nobody like kind of skipped a beat. The chemistry was always still there, and it was great, and everybody felt better for it. But it's so easy for life commitments to just get in your way. So if you have something like this, where you have that reason to meet up and see each other more regularly, it is so worth it. And this has been brilliant for me.
Love it,
honestly.
man. Love it. This week, guys, we are going to be talking about the films that make us cry, some TV stuff that perhaps you maybe wouldn't have thought about. I've asked the guys to prepare some examples of films that they that always get them going, right? That always get them crying. I know, I saw that. So yeah, the films that make them uncomfortably horny, and then some TV episodes. You just knew them off the top of your head. And then we're going to talk about some scenes that are maybe in films that you wouldn't have expected to have such an emotional reaction to. So I've done mine. I'm hoping you guys have done your homework.
Yep.
So, well, let's pass the baton then, Jordan. It was your podcast. The whole thing started with you. Let's go with you. What's your first movie you want to talk about that always makes you cry?
First one I've got is Adam Sandler's Big Daddy. So
when you title it, that sounds like a film, doesn't it?
There is a scene in Big Daddy where Sonny is at court trying to get custody of Julian, and the bailiffs take Julian away, and he's shouting, "I want to go with Sonny, but I wipe my own ass. I wipe my own ass." There's just something so innocently heartbreaking about that wee boy thinking that that's the thing, because he's taught him how to do that. That's the thing that would allow a judge to let that wee boy stay with him. It fucking breaks my heart every time I see it.
That's a great example.
Great wee moment.
It's so sad.
I'm wondering if Adam Sandler's Big Daddy's why he always wears those baggy shorts.
Probably.
No, that's a great example, and definitely I actually think it's a really underrated film, Big Daddy. I think he gets forgotten about. So funny.
Well, I think it's just because he's had so many like great comedies, but I think that one is that his best one. No, I think Happy Gilmore's still my favourite. I think Happy Gilmore's still my favourite.
Happy Gilmore 2 in filming.
Yeah, I know. Looking forward to that.
Leanne just bought me something for my Christmas that I got to try on to make sure it fitted, and it's a jumper for Happy Gilmore, and it's Ben Stiller's face saying, "You can trouble me for a warm glass of shut the hell up." It's fucking buzzing.
That's brilliant.
Christmas episode. A film that I've gone down the kind of the old school route with this one. Have any of you guys ever heard of a film? I feel we might have mentioned it before. A film called The Champ.
Rings a bell.
I don't think so.
No.
Who's that?
The Champ was John Voight, Angelina Jolie's dad.
Yeah, I know John Voight.
John Voight, Ricky Schroeder. That was for the audience at home. Ricky Schroeder, who was, after that, he'd done a few episodes of Scrubs. He was in NYPD Blue for years, but he never really made it. But he was a young kid in this film. Basically, and it's an old film, it's the 70s, I think, right? So I'm not going to spoil the ending or anything. But
I think it's already to spoil that, mate.
I know, but if you haven't seen it, I want you to watch it.
Alright,
I've got millions of things to watch.
Fair enough.
Film for the 70s isn't going to really get the high on my priority list.
It might the next time you fancy a wee crymax. But basically it's about a son and his dad. His dad's a boxer, very, very similar to Daredevil's origin story, let's put it that way.
Without the powers.
Without the powers, without the chemical accident. But it's a very, very straightforward film. Something heartbreaking happens. The main character acts his face off, and it's just one. So anybody out there that has seen it will know exactly why. And if you haven't, and you ever feel like just you want to sit and have a greet at a film, that is the perfect one. Champ. It's an amazing film, The Champ.
Fair. The first one I picked up was really, really obvious one. Marley and Me. I think anything that's going to feature a lovable animal passing away at the end of a movie.
It's too soon.
Thanks for
picking that up.
I'm really sorry, mate. I feel terrible. I'm really stop talking about it. Let me pick something else.
Imagine making your best mate feel bad because his dog died.
It was months ago.
He's over it clearly.
So Marley and Me.
Marley and Me, it's just great just because it's such a simple movie. It's like there's an actual it's a rom-com is happening and this dog just happens to be one of the characters, but it's very much all about that dog.
Yeah.
And then the entire bit at the end where Owen Wilson's with the dog and he's telling the dog how great it is and things like that and how much he loved it, I just start bawling up. I could start crying now thinking about it.
I know.
So I'm going to stop talking
I
about
think
it.
there's a chance that will happen tonight, by the way, because
There's
there's
a
a lot
good
of things I
chance.
can't talk about. Marley and me was very close to my list as well. That scene, you're a good dog, you're a good dog, it just gets you. But I chose not to include it because I didn't want to make him feel bad.
That's why I took off my list as well. Thanks for knocking my list.
Love you, man.
I think anybody that's had a dog from a puppy or maybe a wee bit older, and the dog, you do love it. The dog can be an absolute pain in the arse at times, and then it's not until the dog's gone for a period of time you're like, fuck.
Aye.
Like just for like an overnight or something, or you're going to daycare or something, you do miss it, and then I think a lot of people can relate to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'm totally with you, man. Other dog such classics. I mean, that's the thing. If you put a dog in a film and you do anything to it, not only will it make me cry, people freak out.
Yeah.
You ever noticed that on the
It's the
internet?
entire basis to John Wick.
John Wick, aye.
Yeah.
But like you can do anything you want to. You can do anything you want to people, women, children, anything like that. And that's, you do whatever you want in films to any characters. But as soon as someone does something to a dog or an animal, the internet just goes wild.
Like the first in Yellowstone where Kevin Costner shoots a horse in the face.
And that stopped you watching it, which is a shame because it's an absolute masterpiece.
I'll go back and watch it a wee bit more.
First scene in House of Cards. When he kills the dog.
Yeah.
Yep. Immediately I knew I didn't like that guy.
Kevin Spacey.
That wasn't even part of the film, part of the show. That was just they were following him around doing a documentary.
I'll probably just kick on with the dogs then now. So one of mine is All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Great shout.
So you can bring up the dogs?
Aye.
Okay.
So
Because it was his dog.
I just need to know the rules. That's fine.
See, when your dog dies, you can talk about it.
That's fine. Won't go on.
So it's not so much for the fact that the dog dies at the end of it. It's more to do with the real life story behind the film. So the wee girl who does the voice, she was killed by her dad before the film actually stopped. They were still making it when the wee girl died. And Burt Reynolds had to go in and do his lines for the end of the film when he's ascending into heaven. And you can hear his voice breaking. He had to take it so many times, like to get everybody out of the studio. It was just a heartbreaking moment for a guy actually saying goodbye to a wee girl that he'd built a relationship with.
I think that audio was doing the rounds on social media not too long ago, and it crushes me hearing it.
Absolutely heartbreaking. And it's All Dogs Go to Heaven. Let's say,
great choice.
Great film as well, but it's just absolutely heartbreaking.
Am I right in thinking the wee girl was in something else? Was it Poltergeist or was it something else?
No, it wasn't.
Nah, it's
It
different
wasn't
one.
Nathan Lane's wee girl.
No, the other one, because Nathan Lane's wee girl was older. But it wasn't Nathan Lane's wee girl, just in case anybody's getting confused. Because I totally I totally went off that there on the Menendez brothers thing. She was in something else, and I think she was going to be like one of those child actors that really was a big deal, and she had something else coming out. But she had recorded that whole Charlie bit, and it's so sad, man.
Heartbreaking.
Tragic.
And it is a sad film as well. You take that out of it.
It's a great film as well, though. It's a girl's relationship with a dog.
Aye. It's also potentially the most accurate title in the world because, and you talk about this quite a lot when people think about dangerous dogs and stuff like that. There's no such thing as a bad dog.
No, it's bad owners.
Bad owners.
Aye,
all dogs do and should go to heaven. And in actual fact, it would be one of the few things in the world that would make you believe in the police.
Fair.
You know what I mean?
True.
Either of you is worried this is going to be a really depressing episode?
No, I think we're making light of it.
Okay, sweet.
Mm-hmm. You've already nearly cried once.
I've nearly cried once.
Yeah.
I've listed one movie.
We'll do a tier counter.
Second time.
We'll do a deer counter, a tier counter. Tonight, man, this isn't working for me, this whole English thing.
It's because we're out of their comfort.
Exactly, because we're on tour.
We're even away.
When you move house.
I tell you what, we're definitely never going to be able to do a live show.
No.
I just won't, I'll fold under the pressure.
See, the amount of people that will like genuinely think you're having some kind of like spasm.
Seizure. Aye. That big guy in the middle's really struggling, isn't he?
It's good that they've took that boy out for the day.
Exactly, aye. His mental health is clearly showing. So this one isn't actually about a dog passing or anything like that, but I've done a 2-for-1 here, kind of, right, because I couldn't really separate them. But we're going to the Marvel Universe, which I don't know if we've really spoken about this much previously, the Marvel Universe. So most recently Guardians 3.
Yeah.
And again, it goes down the same route. So first and foremost, Cosmo's in it, and had they done anything to Cosmo, I would have freaked out.
Yeah.
But the reason it gets me, Lila, Teefs and Floor, and the way they do that, even from the very outset, when it's Baby Rocket, and you see obviously, and he just looks so amazing. and then maybe the next flashback when he's been put through something and it's the first time he ever speaks, and the only word he can say is hurts.
Yeah.
Oh my god, man! I'm on the floor, like no pun intended. But I honestly, I just can't handle it. And the other one that I'd done alongside it, because I didn't think I would have 2 MCU entries, but Endgame, man. We've touched on it loads. We're not going to the deep, but I can't watch it. I could watch just that segment, and I will cry instantly.
But that.
Like that. Instantly.
No.
Steve?
Yeah, I'd actually also picked Endgame.
Nice.
That was one of mine, just because I can't think of too many times where I've openly wept in a cinema, and that was definitely one of them. Just completely, and it was the fact that it got me like continuously from the snap to the recording to oh my god, I've forgotten John Favreau's character's name. Happy sitting on the bench with the cheeseburger. Oh, that whole bit. I've just constantly couldn't stop crying.
It's masterfully done, and I think that. So a film that was quite close to me, and I was trying to pick out which one and which bit I would have done, but a film that was quite close for me was Lord of the Rings, and I was going down the route of Return of the King towards the end when it's kind of like happy tears and stuff like that. But the thing that Lord of the Rings, and I know everybody talks like it's an amazing set of films, right? But they did do that whole multiple endings thing at the end of Return of the King. And it was, here's another bit that felt tacked on, and then another bit that felt tacked on. Endgame didn't do that. Endgame just seamlessly went through scene by scene and showed you the impact of this character that we'd been watching for at that point 11 years.
Yeah.
And the impact that it had on everybody in the space of maybe a 9-minute scene, 8-9 minute scene.
Something like that.
It's cinematic genius.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Is that a first overlap?
That's the first overlap, yeah.
That's the ones we got together and cried together.
Marvel film.
Well, no, because you've only given one, so just you jump on.
I've done 2.
Have you done 2?
Big
My
Daddy
mistake.
and Old Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yep, whoops. Okay, I'll jump on another one then.
We couldn't mix it to them up, because I tell you one thing, all dads don't go to heaven.
They definitely.
Right, so the other one, another animated, it's Up. So the opening sequence in itself will get you, just that entire bit. The music is perfect as well. The way that it changes as the years go by, the instrument that's being played, all the way up to just showing out their entire life and then that tragedy at the end. But as sad as that is, the bit that really gets me is the bit at the end of the movie when his whole thing is that he thought they never got to fill out the adventure book, and then he realises she filled it out with the life they had, and then it's go have another adventure. Yeah, I started crying again.
I know, man. You really got me. It's on, funnily enough, it's our second overlap in a row. I honestly think that 10-minute scene in Up, and I think Up almost falls foul of the fact that scene was so flawless that people forget that it's actually still a really, really good movie in its own right. It's really, really good.
Really good. The dog,
loads of dogs,
and that whole thing, like there's so much about that that's just so funny.
Oh, it's brilliant, man. Even the main character, like Russell, he's just so well fleshed out. Like no joke, but he's so good, and it's every single person in it has their stuff, and it's just a really good example of not having to use exposition in a film to tell a good story.
Yep.
That opening 10 minutes, I think, is probably the best animated scene in cinema ever. I don't think you can do better than that. I think if you just take that on its own,
from a storytelling perspective, the fact that they managed to do that whole thing without any dialogue as well,
not a word
is a real accomplishment. Whoever came up with that, genius. Everyone else that copies them,
good. Keep them coming, but fart noise. But I think Up's an amazing film.
So that'll be you then.
I'll stay animated as well, and it's Toy Story 3. So there are 2 bits that get me in Toy Story 3. The first bit is when they're going into the furnace and they all just hold hands together. Fucking hell. Wow, tremendous. And then the other bit that gets me as well is when Andy gives Bonnie all the toys and they sit and they play with them for a wee while before he goes away to college and stuff. That's wow, I don't know why that gets me. It's like the passing of the torch.
It's his face when she makes Woody wave.
It's the furnace bit is probably the one that gets me the most. It's just they keep trying, and then I think it's Jessie is like the first one, and she just kind of like looks at them.
I think it was as Jessie says to Buzz, and Buzz is the one that realises that's like just holds her hands.
And we just need to gear up.
Yeah,
and then
time.
that obviously gets broken by the aliens coming
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
the stuff. Like they break it really well, but
Aye.
for a good, I went to the pictures to see that film, and I fucking loved it.
I was in the picture to see it as
It
well.
was-
Genuinely thought that was
I
the
thought
way they were going to
aye.
go.
I was like, no, you can't do this. Like, we've been
Oh.
watching Toy Story since we were kids.
Just
Yeah.
had to destroy all our childhoods.
And luckily enough, like Toy Story 5's due out next year or the year after and stuff. So it'll be mental that I'll be taking my way in to see
Yeah,
films that
that'll be
I
a
was
nice.
watching as I was a kid.
I've never even watched Toy Story 4 yet, and I've always felt I was quite disappointed when they made it, because I thought it's pretty near as damn it a perfect trilogy, and I didn't think it needed to be made. But is it
Four's
worth
quite
watching?
good.
Is it
Four's
great?
quite good,
alright.
man.
Four's alright.
It's got a good ending for one of the characters. I'm not
Yeah.
spoiling.
No, that's fine.
Aye.
But it's got a good wee story.
It does. It's fine. It's like
Again, it's more of it's like coming of age because Bonnie's getting older,
yeah.
Mm.
and she's
a
ready
nice
to
wee-
take her next steps as well. And she's
It's-
got other supports.
It works
Right,
well
okay.
as like a wee epilogue.
Aye,
It's good.
Yeah.
Oh. And I believe the next one's going to be the battle against the internet and devices
Yeah.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that, which is, listen, it's a very, very clever step to take in that story, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Toy Story 3, 100% the funness, man, because you think they're going to go.
Aye,
You
I
do,
think they're
they
gonna
do
die.
convince you that they're
Yeah.
going to go, and that's going, and like, which you shouldn't be expecting in an animated kids film.
Yeah.
But nah, brilliant, great shout. My next one, again, I don't know if you guys had watched it, La La Land.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Oh my god, man, what a film! And every time that ending scene, again, it's another example actually.
You don't like musicals? Have you seen it?
I sat through it just because it was like I was up for an
You were on a
Oscar.
promise.
It's not a full-on kind of sing what we're doing
It's
type
not,
musical
no.
It's
either,
no,
is
it's very very different,
it? And
and it's fine. Ryan Gosling as well. I'll watch it.
I'd watch Ryan
Crymax.
Gosling just sitting, just to let him and Ron Swanson in front of a fire drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
I think it's a phenomenal film start to finish. I think the music in it's absolutely amazing. The guy, is it Damien Chazelle that's made it, and he done, was it Whiplash, Spotlight and La La Land 3 in a row.
That's a hell of
Don't know if there's ever been better than that.
After Banger.
Yeah.
And then his next one was that Babylon, I think, which I don't think, I've not watched that yet, but I don't think
I
that did
haven't.
particularly well.
Haven't seen it. Nothing about the trailer made me want to see it either.
Nah, I mean, it's one of those things. I don't get why it was so uninspiring, because it's a director that I've loved everything he's done. It's Brad Pitt, Margot Robbie, absolutely stacked cast, but it just looked
Not
garbage.
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale's in it as well.
I see how there you go.
Yeah,
Forgot
yeah.
that.
It just looked a wee bit long-winded.
He's just like shite. isn't it?
So I'm sure it's on Disney Plus now as well.
Aye.
Possibly.
I'll need to watch it at some point. But no, La La Land, and it's the end, and funnily enough, it's similar to that scene in Up that gets most people. But with La La Land, it's the way they do that end scene where they show you what could have been,
Yeah.
and I just think it's amazingly well done. I think it makes you really, really mourn almost for the life that they could have had that they didn't. But it's so true. It's not the Hollywood ending in the film about trying to succeed in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I loved it.
I really like the scene of when he spots her in the crowd and he doesn't finish his usual little monologue that he clearly does, and then he sits at the piano and he just stares at it for a little while. It's so
Just
doing
goes
so
well
little,
right off his game.
saying so much
Aye.
by doing so little.
He
I
just
like
says, "Welcome to Sebs."
it. Yeah.
He's great. It's so good, and in a room full of people.
Show more.
If we'd have said all of that, it'd have gone nowhere.
Saving Private Ryan. So I remember the first time I watched that, I don't think I cried at any point, but I did understand it was quite sad, and it was much later on I went back to watch it, and just the sequence of him walking through the graveyard as an old man, for some reason something about that got me, and I just started crying. I couldn't stop.
With the amount of people that died trying to save him.
No, I think it was specifically just about him. Just about
just
that
that
walk.
old man.
It looked arduous.
Fair.
I think it was just about that.
He just looked
All
like he was
those,
struggling.
all his family members behind him, nobody's thinking to walk up and help him.
Aye, somebody get this man a seat.
It is, once you know like the full story and then revisiting that with the reveal, because it obviously the first time you watch it they trick you into thinking that that's Tom Hanks's character.
Yeah.
So once you know the whole story, it just there's so much more weight to that and him breaking down. So yeah, second time I watched it, definitely got me.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It's an amazing film. Start to
Tremendous
finish.
film. Probably one of the best World War II films.
Oh, aye. I mean, I think that'll definitely be something we'll need to touch on at some point. We'll do war movies.
Then had the spin-offs as well. So you've got the Pacific, you've got Band of Brothers, and then there's just
I've not watched the new one yet.
What's the Air Force one? I can't remember what it's called. With Aaron Butler.
It'll come to me in a sec.
I can't remember.
But
Aye,
But
Aaron Butler?
aye, he's in the new one. It's about
You mean
the-
Austin
Austin Butler.
who the fuck's Aaron Butler?
That's his brother.
Sorry, I got confused.
Aaron Butler's a comedian.
Oh, is
He
it?
was on Caught in the North podcast.
Ah,
There you go.
check that one out, folks.
So I do know who the fuck Aaron Butler is. I'm very, very sorry, Aaron Butler. I'm a really big fan. I know you tune in every week.
He doesn't like you, Austin. I think we're definitely going to need to do that at some point, do a war episode and talk about those. But Saving Private Ryan, it just never ever is not brilliant.
I know
like, it's not
he's a
aged
massive
badly.
World War II fan, and he would love to come on that episode and be a part of it.
He's more than welcome.
I will get in contact with him.
Please do. That sounds good.
Back
on
to
yours.
John.
Me?
Yep.
Next up for me, going back in time a little bit, is My Girl.
Love
At Thomas's funeral. So Thomas and Veda have been friends for a very long time. For anybody who's not seen it, I will spoil it because it's an old film. Thomas gets killed by they break a hornet's nest and he gets stung to death. He wears glasses, but at his funeral he doesn't have his glasses on, and Veda breaks down and she says that he can't see without his glasses, and I'm really fucking great in talking about it. It is absolutely heartbreaking watching this wee lassie lose her best pal. They're both just kids, and just that moment, there's just something about it, and it's heartbreaking.
It
really is.
It's the piece where they manage to get these performances out of kids
Yeah.
that are really. I mean, she's. I'm just going to say really young. She's maybe maybe a 10 or 11 at that point.
There or thereabouts.
And-
Macaulay
and-
Culkin was probably a wee bit younger than that.
I mean, it was maybe 7 or 8. I think it was either the same year or the year before Home Alone.
I think
Maybe between the two.
I think it was just before Home Alone.
Aye, but he's still really
Yeah,
young.
he's really young.
But yeah, and it's like that one I mentioned earlier on with the champ. Ricky Schroeder was maybe 10 in it. Like, and there's just something that's always going to be visceral in you, whether you're no matter what your makeup is. A child crying is just never going to not make you go. But she in that was amazing, and it was such a good little device they used, wasn't it? The glasses.
Yeah.
And it just demonstrated that she didn't understand it. She wasn't meant to understand it, and it's just awful things happen.
My last one then will be £7.
Will Smith.
Will Smith film. Great film. You don't really know what's happening throughout the film until probably the last kind of 5-10 minutes that you realise that he was the one who caused a car accident that lost his wife and his kids. His plan is to kill himself and to find all these people to get his body parts. So if he's on the phone to Woody Harrelson at the start of it and he's giving him absolute shit abuse on the phone to make sure and he stays true and a really nice guy, he gets his eyes. Is it Eva Min? Oh, no, it's not. Who is it?
Rosario Dawson.
Rosario
Dawson.
Dawson. Well remembered.
She needs a new heart, and he kind of starts seeing her for a wee while and stuff, and then he's planning to kill himself. You can tell that he's thought this through for a long time, was to go in a bath with a box jellyfish, because it will kill him quickly and it won't damage any of his organs that he needs to give away, and then all these other people get part of his organs, and it's a great film. It was very well put together. It's probably one of my more favourite Will Smith films. It was a real break for the kind of normal action stuff that he was doing.
Oh yeah, he was on
a really serious role.
He was on the Oscar hunt at that point,
Aye.
like, and rightly so. To be fair, I mean, we've spoken about Will Smith. I'm sure to death. I've always loved the guy to bits. Obviously, he had his meltdown at the Oscars a few years ago, and I think it's a shame because this is an episode where we're talking about mental health, right? I'm not going to sit here and diagnose the man, but I don't think everything's all right.
No.
And I do believe that was out of character that night. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know him obviously, but I feel like that was out of character. But
Allegedly.
he should have gotten the Oscars for Ali, and I'll die on that hill. And I know it was the same year as Denzel got it for Training Day, and he's amazing in it. But sorry, Will Smith as Ali was every bit as good as Jamie Foxx as Ray, and it's as well as someone's played another human.
Yeah.
And then after that he did Pursuit of Happiness, which was brilliant.
I was going to ask if that came before £7 or after.
I think Pursuit of Happiness was after £7.
No, Pursuit of Happiness was 06 and £7 I think it was either 07 or 08.
Fair.
So he was doing that kind of wee streak. And
Oscar hunting.
He was really going for it, and then obviously eventually gets one that night and stuff. But I think he got a bit of flack for £7 at the time because that's what people were levelling at him, and it was almost as if they forgot about. Well, hold on a minute. Let's actually analyse the story and analyse the performance, and he's amazing in it.
He's great in it.
Oh man, I've only ever watched it once I think when it came out, maybe twice, but really good film.
I clearly don't like it quite as much as you do. I just thought it was okay.
Aye, that's a great shout, man. My last one is cheesy as anything, right? But yeah, again, it's one of these ones where the specific scene that makes you go, I think you've got to have a heart of steel to not cry at this, and it's Armageddon. And it's Bruce Willis saying to Liv Tyler, who, by the way, acts the fucking shit out of this, clearly still trying to tone down the language on Mates, Movies and Malts here, guys, but Liv Tyler is sensational in it through the video screen. He's having to say goodbye because they're saving the world. It's very cheesy, it's very Michael Bay, but that phrase, that line, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to break that promise, baby. Oh my god, man. It just gets me every single time. It gets Kirsten. If we're sitting watching it, she starts to cry before it even comes on, which gets me ready. It's like you're waiting for it for a cry. Do you know what I mean? But Armageddon, a brilliant film.
That's
you know
a
what you're
classic.
getting from it.
A tremendous film. Leaving on a jet plane, that whole Steve Buscemi bit.
Yeah.
Did you see the thing I done about Armageddon though? It would have been easier to train astronauts to drill than it would have been to train drillers
Drills
to
to
be
astronauts.
totally fucking unravels the full
I
film.
know, man, I know.
Hold on, why didn't they just do that? And you would have no film.
Yeah.
I mean, they do try to explain it a little bit, don't they? Like the whole kind of it's
fucking
nonsense.
Looser than your whiskey segments.
Aye, and that's saying something. But Armageddon, love it.
Yeah, great choice. So my last one, I've went animated with it as well. I don't actually have to look at it, I don't know what I was trying to, I know what it is. It's Coco.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
Do you not seen Coco?
Have you
That's
not-
about the Day of the Dead.
Aye.
Yeah, so it's very,
Coco's
very good. If I don't actually want to say too much about it now.
That's alright, it's fine.
Right. So the whole thing is about just kind of not forgetting the people that you've lost is the general idea. And there is one scene in particular which is near the basically the climax of the film, is the only person that remembers this one deceased person in the afterlife is his daughter, and she's quite close to passing away.
Right.
So once the last person on earth that remembers you dies, you cease to exist. You don't exist in the afterlife either.
Okay.
So the wee boy who's accidentally travelled to the afterlife, his whole mission is trying to get this girl, the woman, sorry, who is his grandmother, or is it his great grandmother?
I think it's his great
Great-grandmother.
Abuelita.
Yeah, his great grandmother, to remember her dad, and the way that he does it is by playing the song that he used to play to her. And up until this point, she's not said anything. Like, she's like practically, she doesn't even move.
Right, okay.
But when he starts singing the song, it twigs, and she starts singing it with him,
Right, okay.
and in front of all the family and stuff like that. I'm getting worked up again.
I know, man.
It's so moving.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And I start crying
I
every
think-
single time.
Obviously, I'm not lucky enough to be a dad yet, and you guys both are, right? I can envisage in my head that being a really, really good way, like, if you're ever having to have a conversation with your kids about death, when it's time to kind of have to face up to that conversation. I think Coco is a beautiful way to try and help them understand it.
Yeah.
It's so clever. I mean, that's an entire cartoon film, an animated film about your family dying. That's what that film's about, and it's feel good.
Yeah.
And it makes you cry, but it makes you laugh. It's a fantastic film. It's a great shout, man. So, before we move on to the next segment, then, were there anything else that was really, really close to your list, or any others that have come up now that we've been chatting about it, or anything like that?
I can tell you, so I've done a bit of narrowing down. So Marley and Me was on my original list of movies. Never Ending Story was also on it as well.
Man, Atreus.
Atreus lost his horse.
Yeah.
Aye.
That's good, man.
Horrible.
I had a wee shout out for the Green Mile.
Oh, that was going to be the one I was going to say. That was like
take it back,
sixth on
boss.
my
I
list.
thought we both.
Tried to take it well.
Oh man, the Green Mile's so. But that's going out of his way to try and make you cry. But my God, it works.
It does.
I would say all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man films, as soon as Tom Holland starts crying about something that kind of makes me want to cry. But I don't know what that guy does, but he starts crying, I get really upset.
Aye.
Something's wrong with Tom. Something hug him.
I think it's a good example though, because I mean I had 2 Marvel movies. You had a Marvel movie. I don't know if you had any in your list. I don't think you did.
Well, no, I didn't.
But you've considered a few.
Aye.
The serious thing is, like, you've got films that are made and the story is there designed to try and have some sort of emotional reaction, right? £7, beautiful example of that, right? That is a film to make people cry, right? But you also get, and this is the whole thing about these shared universes and sequels, and why I think people that would consider themselves geeks get so invested in this stuff, is because you build such an attachment to the characters. And this is why when Tony goes in Endgame, it doesn't matter, you feel like you're losing somebody that you know, Do you know what I mean? And that's what we're not getting into bashing Infinity War or anything, but it's why it didn't have the same emotional impact for me, because you knew they were all coming back. But this is what so it doesn't matter. It can be animated, it can be a superhero movie, people can think it's silly, it can be Star Wars Rogue One, two of them standing on the beach, man, geez, right? If you build an attachment to characters, like any type of film can make you cry. With that in mind, the most embarrassing one I ever had where I cried, and occasionally when I'm hungover, I'll
get you worse when you're
oh my god, man.
Your body's in a depressed state.
Honest to God, I'm terrible, man.
A Domino's advert come on Monday when I was rough and I
Mine was Ice Age 3.
I
Caught 5 minutes at Ice Age. I've never watched any of the Ice Age films except the first one, and it was the mammoth having an argument or something. Wee girl can't find her mum, and I swear I wept. It was ridiculous, man. I couldn't stop. I couldn't hold it in. So I think anything can make you go if it pulls the heartstrings the right way.
I actually nearly got caught out just a few hours before we recorded this, because I watched the first episode of A Man on the Inside, and there is like just a wee sequence in that, and I nearly started crying. I was like, fucking hell, I'm getting it together.
Are you hungover today? Because that's the 3 or 4 times a night so far.
I'm just an emotional guy.
I love it. I don't know what it is, but I think there's something good about whether you find a film scary, funny, emotional, whatever it is. That's the joy in it. Yeah. For me, do you know what I mean? So with that in mind, we'll move on to scenes that caught you off guard.
So I'm going to let you start with this one because I missed this part of
right, okay.
Simon, and I've not done any homework for this, but
okay,
it's been a busy week.
Has it really caught you off guard?
I've had people in looking at my house, we've been buying a house. It's been really busy.
Right, so do you want me to start with one here, or do
I've got well, I
notes everywhere, man.
No,
Notes on my phone. No,
it's just on my phone. I've only got that for when we do the quiz later.
What quiz
not on this. On a future episode. No, I've only got 2. I've got 2 examples.
Cool. So what I was thinking of when I thought about this is like the film, you're watching a film, you don't go into expecting something really to get you. So there's some of these that would be examples. Like Armageddon's a good example of that, right? You don't go into Armageddon expecting to cry your eyes out.
Toy Story 4.
Aye, but you do know that there's probably going to be an emotional beat at some point, right? One of the thing that pops into my head straight away, there's another one for the stutter reel. The thing that popped into my head that made me think about this was a film called Jojo Rabbit. Yeah. You seen Jojo Rabbit?
Yeah.
You watched it yet? You have?
I've seen it.
So I'm a fan of Taika Waititi.
Stroke number
4.
4.
Waititi. I know, man. I'm needing the hospital, guys. No, Taika Waititi, who I love. Listen, I've got my complaints about Thor 4, but for the most part, everything he's done, I've loved. Right from his early days. What was the thing he did with Jermaine Clement for Eagle versus Shark or something like that? Then he did. We were talking about it earlier. What we do in the Shadows. Yep. He's a comedic genius, in my opinion. Right, Ragnarok. Brilliant, right? The rewrites that he did on Thor's character for Endgame and stuff like that, brilliant, right? Jojo Rabbit is a film about a kid whose imaginary friend is Hitler.
Yep.
The trailers made it look every bit as hilarious as it is, and it is really, really funny. I don't know if I want to get into spoiler territory, but I'll just say shoes.
Yeah. Spats.
Oh man. And it's probably one of the best pieces of foreshadowing you'll ever see.
Because it's pointed it through very heavily in a good 3 or 4 different scenes.
See the amount of times that they zoomed in on her feet, I thought it was like, did Quentin Tarantino actually direct it?
Exactly, aye.
You knew something was going to happen, but it didn't go the way I thought it was going to
go. How well is that scene shot from him following, what's he following, is it a feather?
Aye.
Or a butterfly or something, and it's the way he's crouched, he stands up and then it comes into frame.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, man. Just hits you so hard. So depressing.
Totally agree.
Shout out to Sam Rockwell for that film. He was
so good in that.
Sam Rockwell's
I haven't seen the wee guy that went on to do the new Home Alone film. I thought he was fucking amazing in that.
Oh, aye. It's a shame he was
the guy.
Aye.
He was fucking.
They gave him some of the best lines.
Rebel Wilson was really good in that as well.
She was.
I don't think it was ended. It wasn't like everybody in it was hilarious. Man, Stephen Dilton. Stephen. How did that? And it's so funny, man. Like, how do you come up with that?
I know.
Like, and how do you get it past the bloody censors? That full scene is that line 17 times in a row. It's we might get bloody banned for YouTube for saying that.
I was going to say, out of context, that could look really bad.
Exactly.
Someday we'll clip that.
That's in the future. So Jojo Rabbit was the inspiration for the segment.
Fair enough. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have one?
So one of the ones that I picked was Moneyball. and the scene in particular is near the end, and it's he hit a home run and he didn't even know it.
Oh,
When they're
aye.
sitting watching the reel over and over again, for some reason that bit always gets me quite emotional, and I've shed a tear once or twice watching that. And that's a really good film as well,
Yeah,
but definitely
great
not
film.
one that you would ever expect to be brought to tears watching. But
No.
that one scene in particular, I think it also has a lot to do with the way Brad Pitt acts in that scene as well.
Oh, aye.
Just because how he's almost trying to
How
hold back.
romantic he finds it.
Yeah. There's a lot of great lines in that entire sequence. But yeah,
There are a lot of great lines in that entire film. It's a fantastic
it's a
film,
great
wonderful. Very, very swiftly, and a couple of other examples I had. You've already mentioned this actor, Adam Sandler's Big Daddy. Do you remember the film Click?
Yes.
Yes.
When he
Fast forwards through his full life.
and he realises he's fast forwarded through his dad.
Yeah.
Oh my god. And again, stupid film about a guy with a time control and remote control.
Christopher Walken gave him.
Aye, it's a mental film. Overhated.
Bed Bath Beyond and Way Beyond.
That's right, aye. You've watched it more often than I have.
Out of curiosity, did Adam Sandler make that one? Is that one of his movies?
I think so, yeah.
know he's-
Happy Madison.
I'm sure it was a Happy
Because I was going to say, that's just further proves the point, but see, when he wants to, he can write really great stuff. It's just a lot of the times he just wants to write fun things to do with his friends.
Silly noises he wants to make.
Fart noise.
Mm-hmm.
Twice in this fucking. That's one of my favourite jokes. But don't even need to make the noise, I just need to say fart noise.
Love that.
Practical joke.
You got a final one for us?
The other, I was just going to make just a kind of broad comment that any like really wholesome TV show will usually get me once or twice, and no show did that more often than the early seasons of Ted Lasso.
Oh,
Aye.
Is this guy allowed to talk about TV shows now, isn't he?
I know, but we're going to do this.
Oh,
We're going to do the
aye.
segue, and he's cut your grass a wee bit.
Yeah.
This guy.
He's out to get you tonight, man.
That was the only other thing I could think of. No,
Bloody
sorry.
sabotaging, which I'll go pull a handbrake up and we're going home.
The opportunity presents itself to flip the car.
Flipping a table.
Aye, cool. Well, listen, we'll move on. I think it's quite a nice little segue, so we'll come back to Ted Lasso because I love
Fair
it. It's a
enough.
fantastic
I do
example.
apologise.
Oh,
I
you
didn't realise
start
we
going,
were allowed to do that.
It's a comedy podcast.
It's fine, I'll go home.
No, I need. You gave me a laugh.
Oh, you left. Sorry. How come he made you feel bad about your dog?
I did, and then he brought up beagles and John Wick and all that.
Mhm.
Fucking sick.
I didn't bring up it was a
Sick
beagle, just said the
puppy.
dog died.
Right, okay.
Anyway, so TV, right? Well, and I think TV as a format, it's got a really, really good opportunity to do what I think it's harder to make you cry in a movie than it is in a TV show because you've got that length of time to build a connection to characters and start caring about them. All the best TV shows make you care about your characters. Where it goes wrong, and I often level this at things like The Walking Dead, which we've spoken about before, where they get rid of all the characters you care about and then they try and have the same emotional beats with characters that they've only recently introduced.
Yeah.
It becomes like they're trying to take a shortcut like DC did with trying to replicate the MCU. But TV gives you an opportunity to really connect to characters and build a relationship with them. You know what I mean? So there's quite a few examples. I think that was harder to narrow this down for me. But Jordan, what was your example that you'd like to lead us into?
So, TV show that really took me by surprise because I thought that's what Stefan told me and he set me up for failure this week.
He's after you this week.
A TV show that I really liked, really cared about all the characters, and the ending of it really took me by surprise was A Good Place. I
It's on mine.
didn't expect that to end the way that it ended,
No.
and it was fucking heartbreaking.
It really is. But it's done so well too.
Perfect.
It fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Chidi's speech about the wave.
Yeah.
Oh my
But then they do the good
God.
bit of breaking it as well, so it's not totally sad when they come back to the tree and,
And Jason's still there.
He's just been hiding behind the tree the full time. It's been
great.
years.
Yes.
And they do really well at breaking that bit, and then it goes back to serious again as
Aye.
well. It was
Well,
perfect.
we often talk about Only Fools and Horses, and that was a fantastic TV show. It was
Yeah.
really good at that. It's like
Yeah.
making you laugh and cry in the same breath. So funnily enough, The Good Place was on my list as well. Yes, it is. I couldn't see if I scored it out there. But aye, beautifully done. The
It
wave
really
speech
is.
just gets me every time.
Aye.
Steve, you got a TV episode for us?
Yeah, it's actually a very, very recent one. So I told you on a previous
Is it Ted
episode.
Lasso?
It's not Ted Lasso. A previous episode that I'd watched Act 1 of Arcane Season
Arcane.
2. So Act 2 came out. And
okay.
the third episode, which would be episode 6 of Season 2, the ending of that, obviously won't tell you what happens in it or anything, because I really want you to watch that show. But the ending of that left me so devastated that I didn't do anything for a good half hour of just sitting. I cried and then sat and did nothing on the couch for about half an hour, and then just had to get up and try and get on with my life after I've seen that.
Just white knuckle through it.
It was just absolutely devastating, and anyone that's seen it will know why.
Cool.
It's
I need to watch this. I really do need to watch this.
Yeah, it just destroyed me.
I've got a sneaky wee Doctor Who in, which realistically there's probably always, because this is the thing that the Doctor Who allows, it tells stories in every genre.
Yeah.
Right, there's horror episodes of Doctor Who which you would love. There are proper out and out science fiction, there's dinosaurs on spaceships, there's something for everybody. But this episode was about Vincent Van Gogh, whatever we call him, and it was called Vincent and the Doctor, and again quite in tandem with tonight's theme. It's very well documented that Vincent van Gogh was a very troubled man.
Yep.
Right, he was dealing with stuff that nowadays we would have names for that they didn't have then, and it's widely documented that he was never fully appreciated in his own time,
yep.
which gets talked about an awful lot. In this episode, they go back and they're trying to investigate the demons that it is that Vincent van Gogh sees, and basically understand that there's a science fiction reason why he was tortured. He could see these demons or whatever else, right? And then, long story short, and I'll not give you the details because even if just to watch one episode, I would suggest watch this one, right? They go back and they find him, and they bring him in the TARDIS to the Van Gogh exhibit in London, and they just let him walk around the exhibit, and Bill Nye's in it, and he's just a museum curator that just gives this little speech about what Van Gogh's art means to him. And the guy that plays him is Tony Curran, the Scottish actor, the ginger guy that's in everything. And oh my god, his face in it is just unreal. The music, it's one of the best episodes of TV I've ever watched, and it honestly I've watched it probably 10-15 times and I cry every single time by miles. So that's a really, really good example.
Does Doctor Who exist in a universe where I'd be able to watch that one episode and not need all of
you could watch that and no bother.
Really?
That's the good thing about Doctor Who as a show is that you could more or less pick up any episode, watch a few of them that you like, and then if you like it enough you could go back and you could watch the season arcs of the modern show. I wouldn't say go back and watch all the old stuff, but there are key episodes that are just they're like small pieces of cinema, but cinema designed for people like us that are right into geeky stuff. It's brilliant, it's beautifully well acted, you love the actors that are in it. He's like Matt Smith, he's like David Tennant, he's like Peter Capaldi. Like honestly, it's fantastic. That's a Matt Smith episode, that one. Karen Gillan's in it. It's just flawless.
Yeah, I feel like you're slowly bringing me round to trying out that show.
Like, just let me make you watch 2 or 3 episodes.
But that time you get tricked into deep throating.
Which, funnily enough, is what I felt I was getting earlier on when we to move these mics closer to our faces. It's very imposing.
Yes.
Next one.
For me, next one will be Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I know the episode.
I know the episode as well.
Where Will reconnects with his dad again, and they're having fun. Uncle Phil tells him, "Listen, I know you're enjoying yourself, but just be careful. Don't get too caught up. Don't get too swept up in it." And then they plan this big road trip, and then his dad lets him down at the end, and he'd bought him this carving. It was like a father holding his son, and he just goes into this big fucking monologue about, I learned to do this without him, I learned to do that without him, I'm getting on so well without him, and then it just ends it with, how come he doesn't want me? And fucking hell, man, like, obviously we've all got some issues with parentage, and Jesus, man, every time I see that, it fucking breaks my heart. And it's so well done. It's the cuddle that James Avery gives him, and it's not an actor, that's just somebody who actually cares about him, taking him hugging and embracing him, and it's
brilliant. Uncle Phil's brilliant in that scene as well. The thing that I love about that, and you definitely have spotted it, but for anybody else that maybe goes back and watches that scene, he gets it wrong, but he's so perfect at it. And I've watched an interview with him talking about how nervous he was. This was the first time he ever had to act, and he was nervous doing this scene and stuff. And Uncle Phil, James Avery's the one that kind of talks him through it and stuff like that. And then he just no audience, me and you rehearsing, let's do it. And he gets a wee bit wrong, and I think it's when he's shooting his first basket and he hiccups on it, but they kept it in because it was perfect. Oh man, brilliant episode, fantastic performances all round, great example. So James Avery, Will Smith, Fresh Prince, love it. You were going to say something about James Avery before the podfather rudely interrupted us by coming into his own house.
Who's James Avery? All I was going to say about that scene, James Avery, he's not quiet during the scene. He has little tiny bits of dialogue that don't interrupt, and it just kind of runs with Will Smith's monologue. And I just thought that's really good to like be in a scene, have things to say, but never once be the focus.
Yeah.
I just thought that was really good.
So you just want to talk about James Avery? You watch Superstore? You've seen Superstore?
I've seen Superstore.
The bit with Garrett, Uncle Phil is on the move. Uncle Phil is on the move. Who's Uncle Phil? Like, I'm Uncle Phil.
I've not actually watched James Avery.
Start real.
I've not actually watched Superstore yet, but I have heard more and more interesting things about it.
It's really,
I know
really
exactly
good,
the actor
man.
that you mean that's calling himself Uncle
James
Phil.
Avery.
Aye. He was. Do you remember him in Parks and Rec?
Yes, he's one of the two
The
stupid
pest control
guys.
guys.
The pest control
So
guys.
funny,
He is brilliant in that.
Right, so I'll whiz through a couple of these because I think you've only got one or two left. I put one that I thought you would put.
Sons of
you
North
want to talk
Lanarkhy.
about it. Sons of North Lanarkhy. Laying Pipe, the episode's called.
Yeah.
It's the one where Opie
It's not what you would expect.
Opie gets it.
It's
No,
called Lane Pipe.
no, exactly. But Opie gets it, and my God, that made me cry my eyes out.
It's a very sad episode.
You were always a big Sons fan, weren't you?
Yeah, love Sons of Anarchy. Tremendous.
Love that.
It's a very sad moment.
We've done a Doctor. The last two, quite a recent one, The Last of Us. And did you guys both watch the adaptation of The Last of Us? Yeah.
Watched it.
Thoroughly
Really,
enjoyed it.
really good.
So the thing about The Last of Us is you both know, for me, if not my absolute all-time favourite game or series of games, then it's second only to Knights of the Old Republic, right? But I think it might be top. They've done this adaptation, and for me, so far, it's the best adaptation of any video game ever committed to celluloid, for want of a better phrase. The bit that always people expect, I know. I can't say things like James Avery, but I can say committed to celluloid. for
Drop a
want of better
celluloid
phrase.
one.
Lane Pipe. No, the bit that everybody expects is around Sarah in the first episode, which yes, make me cry my eyes out, cry my eyes out every time watching it and playing the game. But the episode that got me was Long Time with Bill and Frank. Where it took massive liberties from the game, and my God, what an episode of TV they delivered.
Yeah, just
Probably
as like
one
a
of the most perfect episodes of anything.
Anything I've
oh,
ever.
so good. Aye.
See, even if you watch that as a standalone, just for the story,
Masterpiece.
tremendous. 10
Masterpiece.
out of 10.
Beautifully well acted, well written. Nick Offerman doing stuff that you just like you didn't know he had in his locker.
Yeah.
Like you've maybe had him in a certain box, and he's just.
That guy had him in his box.
But it's an absolutely wonderful episode of TV, so that got me. And the bit that really gets me is that song, man, that is named after Long Time.
Yeah.
Under Ronstadt. The scene where he sings it on the piano. Oh my God, man.
That's great.
I wept, and I've watched it 2 or 3 times since.
Their final day having so many parallels with their first day together is really good as well. Like how he makes the same dinner, but not just that. When he puts it down, he turns it exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Just letting you know that he just remembers everything.
Every
It's
single
just so
bit of
nice.
it.
So nice.
Aye.
Only other one I had was Lost. I don't know if you particularly enjoyed that TV show.
First series was decent.
So I stuck with Lost all the way through to the end.
Sucker.
I remember hating the ending. I hated
That's so unnecessary, but so good. Dick.
I hated the ending at the time. On revisiting it, it actually works quite well, so I'm fine with it. But there was one episode. They had a couple of episodes that were really emotional, but the one I wanted to point out was an episode called The Constant, and one of the characters is having this. If you haven't watched the show, it's really hard to understand. But one character is kind of like jumping through time, like his consciousness is jumping through time, and the whole thing is because he doesn't have a constant in all of the timelines that he's visiting, that he's going to die. I was going to say it makes sense if you watch the show. It doesn't make sense at all.
No, that's the
It's
problem.
fine.
Lost, none of it makes sense ever.
They establish the rules and you just have to go with it. All
The
right.
continuity in Lost is exactly the same as the continuity in this podcast.
As you notice, these
All over
drinks
the
are now
place.
refilled.
Magically refilled, aye.
But yeah, so the whole episode is him trying to find Penny, who's the woman that he's in love with. But in the time that he's having to try and catch up with her, he's broken her heart and stuff like that, and she doesn't want to see him. But he manages to find her and find out what her phone number is, so that in present day he can call her, and if he just hears her voice, that'll be enough for him to not be killed by this whole time shifting thing. It kind of makes sense if you watch the show, but yeah, the whole final sequence of him phoning and just it ringing and ringing and ringing, and you don't think she's going to answer it, and she answers it at the last second, and then they just have this really heartbreaking conversation. But they,
I have seen this episode,
yeah,
I'm sure.
and they basically just talk about how much they still love each other, and he's been missing for all this time. It's really, really great. It's really powerful. The two of them are crying, and I'm crying watching it.
Yeah,
It's really good.
Fair.
love that.
Cool.
Last one for you?
Oh shit.
Oh, you've got two left?
No, I've not. Well,
You have?
technically I do, because you took one of yours off yours.
Aye, so let's do your
Stefan
last
set
two
me up
then.
for failure. So first one, Afterlife. I am not, you'll know, the biggest Ricky Gervais fan.
Yeah.
Leanne watched Afterlife. She said, I think you'd like it. I watched it, and oh my god, it is tremendous. A heartbreaking story of a man who loses his wife to cancer. He's on a mission to try and kill himself. Just stops caring, stops giving a fuck, and then he meets all these different people who pull him back in and bring him back round again. And then one of the last scenes is when he's doing a news report in the children's ward.
Right.
And oh my god, man, it's
The wee boy, will you come back and see
the wee
me?
girl, aye.
There's a wee girl?
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
Like, will you come back and see me? Then the wee girls get the same name as his wife.
That's
had.
right, of course she has.
Oh yeah, is it not? He speaks to the two wee girls, and they've got the wee name, and it's the wee boy that he runs into on the way out when he's walking out. Is it not two scenes?
Oh no, sorry.
It's two separate scenes.
That's what I'm
The,
getting mixed
the
up.
interview is with the two wee girls.
Yeah.
Aye. Because he said the wee boy says his big pal looks like Shrek.
That's right.
Aye.
And he's killing himself
Aye,
laughing.
and the wee boy says, will you come back and see
And
me
he
and
says-
stuff, and do you believe in
He
heaven?
takes a pause and he says, I will come back and see you. And
Aye.
then you kind of get the happier ending at the fair and stuff.
Aye.
The village fete.
It's particularly crushing, that scene, just for him when he's like saying, do you want me to come back and see you? Why do you want me to come back and see you? And he says, oh, because you're funny. And he says, I'll come back every day until you feel better. He was like, or until I go to heaven. Oh God,
I know.
how horrible is that?
Again, it's children talking
Yeah.
about
Exactly.
death as
Oh,
well.
it gets-
This
it's
kid
tragic.
knows that there's a possibility that they're not going to make it. It's,
Yeah.
The thing about Afterlife as well is it is another one that is designed to make you cry and have that emotional reaction, but again it balances that humour with it as well. Like his dad being in the home, and his dad's I always forget that actor's name.
He was,
He's in everything.
aye.
Harry Filch,
aye, he was Mr.
David Bradley.
Yes.
But he plays his dad, and it's like he's so relatable that when he tells him he loves him, he just goes, gay. Like, it's so funny, but it's so true, because that's what that generation would have said.
Yeah.
Like it's an absolute master. I think it's the best, and I love Ricky Gervais. I think it's the best thing he ever did.
I'm not a big fan, and I think it's the best thing you ever did.
Love it, man. Great shout. And then your last one I also had on my list as well.
It's a sin. Ollie, what was his name?
Alexander.
Ollie Alexander.
Aye.
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 For years and years.
Aye.
TV show about the AIDS pandemic. Basically a group of friends. Some people start contracting AIDS, some people pass away. He contracts it, but his mum takes him back home, and his best friends are trying to get a hold of him and trying to get a hold of him. They'll never let him see him. And then they basically phone. They get told, the mum says, I'll meet you. They meet at the beach. She says, can we come and see him? He says, no, he died yesterday. And it's fucking...
Have you not seen it?
I've never seen that.
Watch it, man. And
That sounds
that's
too hard to
one-
watch.
It's not, because it's feel good and it's
Yeah,
funny and
there's
it's
loads of good bits in between it.
Okay.
Kind of the ending of it, and it's absolutely heartbreaking, man. And look, when they go in to see him in the hospital, and he tells his mum and dad that he's got AIDS, his mum doesn't want to touch him and stuff, and
Aye, that's Keely Hawes' moment to shine. That so Keely Hawes turns up in everything in Britain at some point.
she was the best friend, and she doesn't give a fuck.
No, Keely Hawes is the mum.
Oh, sorry.
Olivia West's the
Yes,
best friend.
friend.
She's amazing. She's now starting to get stuff in America and everything, which is cool. But no, Keely Hawes, like anything major in Britain, Line of Duty, turned up in it. Like everything she tends to, and then she'd been very quiet. She's a bit part in that show because she's over in Jersey or wherever they lived, and she's just Joe's on the rampage, isn't she, man? But
Just an absolute.
funnily enough, the same season and the episode that actually gets me even, because that folded me. Every episode gets you, and it's a sin. But what's he calling? The Welsh boy,
Yeah.
and he just loves his mum, and oh my god, man, the way they do that, it's like. The thing with It's a Sin, I think it's one of the best miniseries ever made. Like I don't think it really can be improved upon, but I don't think it's landed in America really massively.
Okay.
So when you hear a lot of podders and a lot of TikTokers and stuff talking about that, you see them doing the best miniseries. They talk about Chernobyl, which of course it is.
Aye.
They talk about Band of Brothers and stuff like that. It's a Sin never gets a mention, and it's every bit as good as
That's a great show.
as all
It's a
of them.
really
Amazing.
good show.
Do you know who made it?
No.
Russell T Davies.
Ah,
Do you know what his main thing is?
Black Mirror.
Doctor Who.
Ah,
I don't know how I missed this
I'm
show.
not going to watch Doctor.
What's it on?
So good. It was
4?
Channel 4. You get it on 4 Blue.
Okay. I'll make
It's
a
only
point
4 or
of
5
watching it.
episodes.
Fair
It's
enough.
good.
Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
Oh man. Aye.
He was also in Doctor Who.
He was recently. Now that Russell T Davies has gone back. It's brilliant. My last one, which is a comedy that always balanced the emotion really, really well, was Scrubs.
Yeah.
And there was 2 episodes that immediately jumped to mind. The famous one with Brendan Fraser in it, where Dr. Cox doesn't know that he's. You watch Scrubs, didn't you? Of course he does. He's got flu.
Yeah.
But Dr. Cox thinks Brendan Fraser's alive the whole time, and he's not. And then he realises at the funeral, and that it's the song Winter, amazing.
Where do you think we are right now?
Yeah. And then the other one was the episode was called My Lunch, but it's the one where he accidentally kills the 3 patients because he's so desperate to get them a transplant, and he just wrecks the place. And again, the song makes it, and it was
infected organs, wasn't it?
it was rabies.
Rabies.
Oh, she had babies.
And the song is How to Save a Life by The Fray, which is what made that song big at the time. That and Grey's Anatomy, I think. But
There was an episode where JD's dad died as well. That was
oh man, that was a killer as well. Aye, who was played by John Ritter.
which crossed over into 8 Simple Rules. And
Yeah. That episode of
as
that,
well.
man.
It was-
That was mental. But I thought Scrubs was one of the best shows ever that balanced that.
Yeah, I'd say so.
You know, any honourable mentions?
I kind of talked about all this Tom Holland Spider-Mans. The only other one I want to mention is a film I used to love. I still love it now. It's A Perfect World. Kevin Costner. It's a kidnap film, which is feel good elements in it. He kidnaps this wee boy just to get away from a terrible situation. He grows really close to the wee boy. The wee boy grew up as Jehovah's Witness, so he never got to celebrate Christmas or Halloween. So he stole him a Casper Halloween costume, and he kind of became like a father figure to him. And then, unfortunately, he dies at the end of it and stuff. But the wee boy just tried to cuddle him, and he kind of was the father that he never actually had, never should have had.
Yeah.
But that's a great film for me.
Love that.
Perfect World. Yeah,
Honourable mentions?
I mean, I had one. I don't think I got properly upset, but I got very emotional during it. Season 2 finale of The Mandalorian.
Oh yeah.
Luke Skywalker's return. Just the way that it's like built up, you never actually see him, and then you
that was a
finally see his
climax and a half.
I thought that was really well done. Music in that is great as well. Would have been so easy to just have went back and played like Luke's old theme and things like that. But the fact that they created something like new, I thought worked really, really well. Suited the episode and the whole show.
Yeah.
And just the tease up to it and everything. You just feel it getting more and more emotional, and then they have the reveal, and it didn't look amazing, the CGI, but it was good enough, I would have said. Just thought that was a great moment.
Love that. Couple of TV honourable mentions when Marshall's dad dies.
Aye.
Countdown. That's one of
man.
my favourite episodes of anything. They never told Jason Segel that's what
No.
the line was going to be. So Alison
Hannigan.
delivered that line. He didn't know what it was going to be. It was a blind reaction.
And he improvises it.
Fucking heartbreaking.
Beautifully done. The final one was Forrest Gump. And it's just the scene, it's similar to, funnily enough, another Tom Hanks one that you've mentioned. It's the scene in the graveyard where he's talking to Jenny, and it's the way that Tom Hanks breaks, and he just goes like that. He's so smart, Jenny. Oh man, every time, every single
I thought
time.
you were going to mention the bit where he asks when he finds out about his son, and he's asking.
No, that is amazing.
So.
But it's the bit when he's talking to her because she dies obviously so suddenly, and you try to.
Getting her updates on.
And it's just the way he delivers that one line. It's you get because he gets upset. He's like, "He's so smart, Jenny." Like that. Oh man, every time.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
great moment.
Love it. So, as much as that was pretty depressing content, as always, I really enjoyed that, gents.
Yeah, always.
I feel like it felt cathartic.
Aye, listen, boys cry too.
They do, and I
These are the
certainly
things that
do.
make us cry. We'd love to know the things that make you cry as well.
Yeah, or crymax.
Yeah, knuckling through a climax.
That's the name of the episode right there. In the comments, guys, give us your examples, point out ones that we've missed. Are you absolutely livid that we didn't talk about Brokeback Mountain? Because I know the pod mother is. It's a Wonderful Life we mentioned on the Christmas episode. Makes me cry every time. There's millions of stuff out there. There's more stuff that will come, but I think it's one of the best things that you can get is any sort of emotional reaction that you have to cinema. That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Same goes for TV, video games, everything, all of this sort of stuff. Any last thoughts?
Nah.
No, Jerry Springer, final thoughts?
Nah, man.
Cool.
I'm good.
Insightful. I miss my dog. Next week I'll be missing my wee rabbit. Know what I mean?
Pet cemetery.
Guys, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.